Hello, everyone. This is Michelle Oliver, and I'm here again today with George Bellis of Bellis and Wachowski for another episode of Bellis, Biz, Blues, and Bourbon. Hello, George. It's lovely to see you again.
Hello, Michelle. Thank you for brightening up a gray January day in Chicago. I'm sure it's prettier in Colorado than it is here in Chicago.
Well, the sun's always shining here, but it's lovely to be with you. And I think you're going to brighten up everyone's day. Are we going to start with some bourbon?
Oh, of course.
What have
Of
you
course.
got today?
Today we're trying a little Kentucky Owl St. Patrick's limited edition, limited release. It's
Wow.
yes, this is it's a wheated bourbon, which I'm not particularly fond of. Bottle was given to me as a gift. It was released just before St. Patrick's Day, because bourbon's become so highly commercialized. You know, they do these special releases in order to get some traction with the buyers. So this one was geared towards all of those St. Patrick's Day drinkers. I guess after the first sip, don't really care what they're drinking.
What is a wheated bourbon? What does that mean?
It means it's predominantly wheat on top of the corn, so it gives it supposedly a little sweeter flavor. I most of the time I find it harsher, but this particular bourbon was a little too sweety for my tastes. It was okay, but not for the price point it was offered at. I certainly would not have bought it, but it was given to me as a gift. So to that person who gave it to me, thank you.
Yes, cheers.
Cheers. Then we're going to talk a little bit of music. And of course, we're going to talk about blues.
Yes.
And in my mind, in terms of the United States adopting blues music, it was musicians like Cream and the Rolling Stones that gave blues a little pop. They just made blues more like a rock song and really intensified the sound. They incorporated the beat into the music and just elevated rock and roll to another level. And I think Cream is a great example of it. Three great musicians that collaborated and it just brought it out. And they brought out the Chicago blues sound, which of course I'm a fan of.
Yeah.
So it's something I don't have it playing in the background right now, but it's pretty good. But then we also have to talk a little bit about law.
Let's do that. Contracts.
Yeah, I have some suggestions on what you should worry about in a contract. So we're going to talk about 5 overlooked items that people forget about in contracts that, if they paid attention to, might help avoid lawsuits. First one is a dispute resolution provision. My goal is to keep people out of courts. And a good contract will force the parties to mediate or go to arbitration. I think that's more economical, more expeditious, and helps resolve matter rather than just going to court and trying to fight it out and slug it out for a couple of years. The second thing I think you really have to have in a contract is be explicit about what the payment terms are. Don't leave it up for grabs. Don't leave it for speculation. If you want payment in 10 days, say it. If it's whatever the payment terms are, make sure it's spelled out with some specificity. We want a confidentiality or non-disclosure where appropriate in contracts. Not all contracts require or have a need for confidentiality terms, but it will frequently prevent things from getting out of hand. Indemnification. Basically, this means that if something else happens with a third party, then there's going to be protection with the other contracted party from any liability that may occur. They may use the parts or something else in another endeavor, and you want to make sure that if they use it beyond its terms or its scope of use, that the seller is indemnified. And then, where possible, you want to limit liability to nothing more than the purchase price, so that it's not an open-ended liability. And I think if people follow these basic tips and also consult with reputable and competent business lawyers, they should limit their liability where possible. So I think that sums it up.
Yeah, that's excellent
You got any
advice.
questions? You got any questions, Michelle?
No, actually, in retrospect, I'm thinking back to some contracts that I did not cover all of that in. So it seems very straightforward and logical and very helpful, actually. Hopefully everyone will follow your advice and reach out to you.
I'm
Avoid
not
paying.
always available, but I'm available to talk about almost anything over a glass of Kentucky
Bourbon.
weeded bourbon.
Yes, non-weeded bourbon. Yes. Well, that's excellent. Thank you so much. And anyone who's watching this, obviously feel welcome to reach out to Gio with any questions. And he is here to support you.
Thank you, Michelle.